before I get out, thank you. So as Jenny said, for those of you that weren't on yet, Joanna sent a message. She was unable to make it today. And as usual, per her very kind, nice words, she reminded me that I forgot to ask people about case studies. At the end of our meeting last time, somebody had brought up a case study, and it was just super beneficial, I think, to everybody. So it's just if people have case studies, if they want to maybe send one or something, and we could try to add one of those to the agenda just so we can make sure to talk about it. Otherwise, we'll just make something up. But anyway, it was just really nice of her because it was super beneficial. But for those, if there's anybody here I haven't met, I'm Scott. And then Jenny, of course, is in charge of everything and recording and helps to make sure that I'm more accurate. So one of the things that we were trying to work on as a group was just about having one curriculum. And when we say one curriculum, we mean like try to break it down into age groups and just try to make it so that people have something they can grab off the shelf and they could start using and maybe adapt it as they see needs or as they need to fit whatever youth they're working with. So with that said, Jenny had done a ton of work and she made a wonderful time frame and sent emails out. And it's just, if we could get people, whoever's still interested in that, to start working in their groups, reaching out to each other. And we will work with, to come up with another timeline because she came out with a really good one that I think if we try to follow it, it'll really help us kind of stay connected as a group and working towards that goal. And I'm looking over here because what I used to do is I'd have my agenda on the same computer, but then I lose track of the buttons. So again, for the one curriculum, we'll send something out again with a timeline. Again, the timeline that Jenny had sent out before was very manageable, I think. Never manageable for one person, but all the groups seem to have a good amount of people on them. So if we spread the work around, and then if people can start emailing to try to get together with the group, and if you forgot who was in your group, we'll send out a reminder so that people have everyone's contact information.
Or if you did not express interest on the survey that I sent out in being in a group and you want to be in a group, just let us know and we'll get you added. For anybody who doesn't remember, we had 4 different groups. We had the younger, basically the basic, intermediate, and then advanced were the three names that come to mind for me. And then we had a parent caregiver group as well. And I foresee that parent caregiver group almost being more of a overview of the program, but also maybe the group that works on that could really look at some informational material that we can give out even prior to getting the referrals. So I think that would be awesome too.
Nice. I agree. That's very cool. And it's, again, the way it's broke down, it should work really well. But I know, like, at least for us out here where I work, we're super short staffed and super busy. But again, the time frame that she had laid out was very doable. And I know I was very at fault. So I'm going to work better at it. And then when we talk about,
I got it, Scott. Go ahead.
Thank you. Are we sacrificing doing things correctly, or are we just trying to get things done? I know sometimes my chief doesn't, well, first off, he knows me really well and that I'm basically a professional time killer, but he wants to make sure I'm using the most of my time appropriately So sometimes he'll ask me to try to get things done, and I kindly let him know that I'm just not able to whip something to say that it's done. I don't want to make sacrifices, especially when it comes to the youth fire setting, right? Because that's not just important to the youth. As somebody who's had their kid in trouble, like our oldest son, not that it matters, but we had sent him to a drug treatment program for 15 months when he was 16 years old. And we went crazy in debt. But as a parent, right, my wife and I were just so stressed trying to deal with this. And we were super thankful for all the healthcare workers and everybody that helped us through that time, and that none of those people just kind of pencil whipped anything, right? They all put their heart into it. And our son's doing really good. He just graduated paramedic school, so we're very thankful. And we don't want to make those, I know everybody in this group is really just here because we care. So and I have a good relationship with my chief. So again, I'm easily able to talk to him to let him know that, hey, I really think this is important. I need to spend more time in it. So hopefully we're all able to have those type of conversations. And then if there's any improvements we need to be making, that's one really good thing with this group is everybody is usually pretty good about, calling or not calling, but, providing information or things that, we could do better or suggestions. And again, that's just one great thing. I mean, we have people from the UK to Australia, New Zealand, Puerto Rico, and all across the country. And people come in and out. People send random emails. So it's just really nice to be able to get that help. And then for trainings, I know we talked about already the case study. So I guess we could put the case studies in here. If people have some that they think would be good, if you could just email Jenny and I, and we can make sure to add one onto the agenda. So we could try to have one for every meeting we have, and we could just make sure it'll line up with your schedule if you're going to be the one talking about that case study. And then trainings, if anybody has suggestions for trainings that you would like to see for us to do, or to see if we can coax people into coming to talking, just let us know. We're always easy. Yes, Kathy?
I'd like to coax Pat Mazzala into coming for a training. She knows the history of YFPI better than anybody. So I don't know if you want to say anything, Pat.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. And also, I probably want to give you an update. I know I'm coming kind of late to this party. So I'm not real sure, what you all have organized already and your goals and things like that, but I'll learn about them. But one of the things that's happened with the FEMA grants, I work closely with all the national projects and programs and with the FEMA grants, and Kathy and I both worked as SMEs for the Essentials Introduction to Youth Fire Setting Prevention and Intervention Programs. And that has, if you're looking for resources for education, either with groups of fire setters or individual, I mean, that's by age range. I mean, by age appropriate type of programs that we all vetted. Actually, we really looked at what's on that. So if you haven't been there to that website and you haven't seen that 1 hour online course, that is just a wonderful way to introduce an awareness to your fellow firefighters in your department, or community partners for your program, or social workers, or anyone that you're addressing, to work with you in your fire setter program. But there's so many resources there that it would warrant, if you're putting something together specifically for this group, to look at, because everything is, you share it, you download it, and it's there. The other thing to tell you is that I'm in contact now with Nancy Trench, who was the project manager for the Essentials, and Vision 2020 got their FY20 grant, and part of their deliverables in that grant is to continue with work on the youth fire setting project. And I'm so excited because now what's going to happen is part of the money is going to be spent in doing new videos. I don't know how many yet. I'm taking over the project manager role for Nancy, I hope, because Nancy's going to talk to Steve about that. But new videos come into play. The biggest thing is Oklahoma State University is working, of course, with Don Porth, who is writing a textbook on youth fire setting and everything involving it. And that textbook is going to be the primary textbook for a curriculum that's going to be developed with Oklahoma State University, myself and a group of SMEs, to develop a curriculum to go with that textbook. And the best part is a 400 question test bank that's going to be, again, vetted, and states can adapt it and use it for certification for YFS level 1 and 2. Now that's going to happen over the next 2 years. Now, that may be too long for this group for what you plan on doing and your goal. But just to know that that's in the works, and that's like monumental. That is a monumental step forward for the whole youth fire setting area and industry. And I am just so happy about that and about what NFA has done with the original course on youth fire setting and how they've updated it, and working with Mike Weller there. So there's a lot of organizations working together to keep that in the forefront, which was one of the biggest fears I had years ago, back in the 70s and 80s, that the fire service was just going to do it for a little while and then brush it under the carpet. And it didn't happen. And I'm thrilled to say, and thank you to all of you who continue to work in this area and arena. Again, I'm part of the 1035, as is Kathy. We're reviewing what's in the 1035 standard from NFPA, and that's going to go into the new 1030. The curriculum is going to be written and the test is going to be written according to what we have in the 1030, but ultimately will be the final thing. So everything is going to be consistent. Everything is going to be directed in the same direction, and we're trying to make it as easy as possible for local fire departments to be able to use what's there, and for state level people to be able to capture some support behind the youth fire setting program in all of the areas around their state. So hopefully, we'll have that all finished by, the end of the 2-year grant period. But that's some of the exciting things happening. And yes, I would be happy to come and address the issue in whatever way that you guys would like me to.
Nice. Thank you very much for that, Pat. All that sounds super exciting,
Yes, I'm so excited. We did have Don come in and do a training a few months ago. And he did mention the book he was writing. And ours, just so you know, Pat, what we were kind of looking at is just the education side, not educating firefighters, the education so that when we get somebody, trained as an intervention specialist, if they are not an FLSC and they do not have that expertise, we, in addition to, and I've taken the 1 hour IFSTA class, as you know, this is my thing, but so I've taken that and the resources are phenomenal. What we were talking about was kind of meshing resources, kind of everybody getting together as a group and coming up with, this is what we look at as a good curriculum, multiple classes, because of course, as we all know, every child is different and may need some specialization. But that's kind of what we were looking at. We did speak with Mike Weller, who said when we got this together, he would be interested in taking a look at it and seeing how it could possibly, could it be launched a little bit bigger or, anything like that. But we're in the beginning stages. So the goals that Scott was mentioning is kind of part of my formative, just beginning to form this and set some goals for us to get started on how do we want to do the curriculum, what resources are going to be put in for which grades, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I'd be happy to help you with that in whatever way I can and offer whatever resources I'm familiar with.
And we love that.
Yes, very much. And the videos sound so exciting.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we really need
They
those.
have been so needed, yes.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you very much. We'll reach out and try to find a schedule that would work for you. Generally, we meet every other month. I'm sorry, the first Thursday of every month. And we meet at, 4 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I know it's kind of late in the afternoon for some people, but we're just trying to find a time that everyone could meet. So thank you very much. So again, if anyone else has any training ideas, just go ahead and send them to us, and then we'll be happy to try to put something together. Again, the case studies, though, is going to be, I think, very beneficial to all of us. And then when it comes to the numbers, are you back to pre-COVID numbers for youth fire setting? Are you guys getting more cases, less cases?
Us in Connecticut, I think it doubled. I had 23 cases just referred to me through the Department of Children and Families and the courts. It's not all of the cases that are statewide. So that was just what I got across my desk.
Wow.
Yeah, kids were pretty bored and things were happening. Obviously, the child welfare population really struggled. A lot of domestic violence, a lot of substance abuse while people were all together. And I think it showed with the kids' behavior.
Sorry, just Debbie says in the chat, late for me statewide from their CPS. I know, like for me, again, I just only work in Santa Clara County in California, and it's not really, I mean, it's a good sized county. There's a couple million people, but just in the last probably 3 months, I've gotten like 8 or 10 kids. So it's starting to ramp back up for us. But I haven't, one thing I asked about are new trends, because a lot of the ones that I've been getting are kids watching stuff off YouTube and trying to, light stuff while they're riding their bicycles or their skateboards, trying to do stupid human tricks, basically. So just kind of different.
So Scott, at some point, Carla, I don't know if Carla's on the call now. She worked with YouTube to have some of those removed, those videos. We did some work, and at one particular time, we counted 135 different YouTube videos from youth that were showing kids how to light fires. So she might have some more information on that. It's been quite a while, so I don't know how she did it, but I know that that was one of her presentations on social media that she gave some information. So
I wonder if anybody has monitored TikTok for the same sort of phenomenon.
I actually created a TikTok specifically to look up videos, and they're all over.
That's I was afraid of.
And if I don't see them, my kids see them and they send them to me immediately. There was the TikTok iPhone challenge, which was the little charger. You put the charging box in the wall and slide a penny or another coin down the wall, and it shorts out the electric.
Right.
There were quite a few fires that were started because of that. I actually have a compilation of those videos that I found on YouTube that I showed during my intervention specialist classes, just to show them what's out there. So And we just had in the chat, Lori said the TikToks are the worst. And Debbie said she had one of those.
I'd never even heard of those. I mean, I use YouTube, right, to, you know, if I have something wrong with my car or to watch, you know, stupid, funny videos. But yeah, that's crazy. And thanks for mentioning about Carla. I'll reach out to her. She's not on the call, but obviously she's in the group. She's been here many times
Mhm.
because I never even thought about that.
Mhm.
And YouTube is like in the next town over. So
I can't even imagine what it would take to get through to a human being at TikTok who would have the administrative ability to try to block some of those. But, you know, I think there again, those audiences are getting fairly specific. I'll bet if you've got 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, they're streaming YouTube all the time. But you get kids that are preteens and in their early teens, it's all about TikTok.
oh.
And I would almost view that as a greater threat to this whole thing than YouTube might be at this stage of the game. TikTok has just taken off exponentially.
I do know that here in Ohio, the Butler County Sheriff's Office is working with TikTok because there's a challenge right now. Well, the most recent that came out was Slap Your Teacher challenge.
Oh my God. Oh my
Yes.
God.
So the Butler County Sheriff's Office, which is actually right next county next to me, released a statement that they were going to prosecute kids for doing this. This would be the second challenge. The first one was destroy your school, and kids went in and destroyed bathrooms and that sort of thing. So I don't know. I'm kind of hanging back and waiting, and maybe Bob, maybe if I watch them and they actually get something accomplished, because they did speak of that, maybe I can get a hold of them and see how they went about that you know, getting those
Yeah,
videos
but
removed.
please do. Now that you know, I thought of that in this very small flash of brilliance, I'm going to start poking around and seeing what I can do in terms of making headway and getting a hold of somebody at TikTok to at least express our concerns and
There you
see if
go.
they might be willing to filter some of that stuff. So I'll work on that. I'll let you know if I get anything from anybody.
Great.
Thanks, Bob. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's a great idea. I'm just not really a social media guy, so I wouldn't even have thought about that. So those are great ideas.
Does
So
anybody know? Jenny said she has many videos that she shows in her specialist class. I can't download those videos anymore because sometimes they disappear and a link doesn't always work. I used to be able to download them and have them as video files, and I can't do that anymore.
for YouTube,
Yes.
Well, for YouTube, and I don't know even how you'd start on TikTok, but it would be nice to have some examples for the intervention professionals, not for the kids.
I haven't been able to download YouTube videos since they made a change last year. And I don't know what the change was. But I do have all of those on my YouTube channel that I can once again send out to everybody. I just added new videos this morning. About every hour of my morning, I go through YouTube and see if there's anything new that I need to add. So, but I don't know how to download them. And, you know, that would be a good thing to be able to do again, because you don't know even if you're going to have an internet connection or, you know, anything like that.
And using a link in a PowerPoint presentation is not very smooth. If you could
Right.
have them embedded, that's much better.
I know with like the app, I'm able to download YouTube, but I have not tried on the computer.
Oh, with the app on your phone?
Yeah, and on my iPad I could do it. But again, that I don't think that really helps, like you said, embedding it into a PowerPoint or anything. So,
Hey, you're going to forgive me for multitasking, but I am now in a chat with somebody at TikTok about this matter. So I'm going to let you know what happens here.
You're awesome, Bob.
All righty. I'll stay tuned.
I can feel this is going to be a great story at the end. So I'll be honest, I don't remember why I had more or less on here. So I guess I'm asking just more or less numbers for the referrals. And it sounds like Ann's definitely over the more. I know I'm over the more. I'm hopeful, that's just an anomaly and it'll get back to normal. I know California's been under probably more of a lockdown than the rest of the country. But now it seems pretty open. And so I'm hoping that'll slow things down. And then just moving forward, I just want to be aware of people's time, right? So if we're wasting people's time, or if there's something that I could do better or direct a different way, just let me know. Normally Jenny, though, she lets me know if things are going bad or if I'm bringing something up that I shouldn't be. So I just want to make sure that we can work well together and kind of move forward. And that's why all the work that Jenny, and she was really humble about the time frame that she had put up. But I mean, it's basically going to be a start to finish program in like 2 weeks. She doesn't get much sleep. So just please feel free to reach out to me to let me know. Sarah, they're free online YouTube convert. Oh, nice. So Sarah's saying that there's a free online YouTube converter that it'll take the URL and convert it to a MP4.
You still have one that works, Sarah? Because mine didn't, mine quit working. And it could just be,
Mine quit working too. And I tried to Google the free ones and none of those would work for me. So if you know something that I don't, I'd love to know what you know.
right?
Yeah, so if anyone has a link and they want to either put it in the chat or just email it to the group, that might help. So then that would basically just put it into a file and you could drop it into your PowerPoint. That's what you were doing before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sounds good.
Yes.
Oh, she just sent
There
one.
it is.
Thanks, Sarah. Very nice. So that's really all I had to talk about. So if anyone has a case study that they'd like to, actually, so Murray, I had forgot, Murray had emailed that he was not going to be able to, actually, I don't remember if he said he couldn't come, but he had talked about the BRT, which is basically the behavioral therapy form that they use, and it's used by the fire personnel to evaluate the kids. And he sent a really nice email. This Dr. Dadswell, she had done a big research project on it. And so where I am, we used to have a really good relationship with a mental health provider, but basically I wore them out bringing so many kids through and they weren't charging us anything that they said after like 6 years, hey, we can only give you so much time. So thanks. And they were super nice about it, but it is a lot of work to put on them liability wise, the mental health evaluations before the classes. So when we started up this group, Murray had mentioned this BRT, which essentially is I don't want to say it's similar to the organ because I know it's not, but just in terms of an evaluation for the firefighters to be able to find out where the youth stands in terms of being able to help them or not. So he just sent some general information about that. And then I had had a couple of meetings with Dr. Dadswell, and she's given the group I work with in Santa Clara County the ability to use it. So we use it on all our kids. And I'll make sure that, I'm sure Murray would be fine with sharing the email, but I'll just ask him before I do. So.
Yeah, that was great. That follow-up study that Murray sent us was absolutely phenomenal. And it's very interesting to see, and I tell him this all the time, how Australia does things a little differently than us. But as Joanna likes to say, how we all have the same issues.
Yeah.
We all run into the same challenges. And so I wanted to just share my good news from today had to do with YFS. So when I became a unicorn earlier, it was all because I got some good news. I was contacted by Ohio RISE, which RISE stands for, and this is new to me, so I have to look at it. Resilience through integrated systems and excellence. So essentially, Ohio RISE is a governor's initiative to bring services to children with complex mental, who need complex mental health assistance or other services. So this is Department of Mental Health, Department of Medicaid, Job and Family Services, education. Now we have finally been asked to sit at the table because they recognized, Medicaid recognized that many of the children in Ohio were going outside of Ohio to get services. Either that or those children with private health insurance were not getting the health or the assistance they needed because their parents just couldn't afford it. We had parents who were signing over custody essentially of their children to the state so that that child qualified for Medicaid so that they could get the mental health assistance that they needed. So it's pretty exciting here in Ohio that this is happening for our kids, and that they recognize that some children who start fires will need this assistance and have asked us to sit at the table. So kind of
Nice.
crazy. It's very exciting though.
That'll give you something to do in your spare time.
It will.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's just exciting to actually have that mental health component almost come to us instead of me feeling like I'm chasing them constantly, which I know some other people have felt like also. For them to actually come to us and say, we need your help in identifying these children. And then I was able to ask her, well, if you know there are children who need inpatient services, who's doing the education, the fire safety education side of things when they're ready or while they're going through this? And she said, well, I don't give fire safety education. And I was like, oh my goodness, well, just so you know, the most research that I found has said that while mental health is absolutely needed, if they fall in that realm, fire safety education is also a huge part of this whole process. So hopefully it's going to help all the way around the state and get that component back into some of these programs that we aren't even participating in right now.
Very nice. I know, like I said, I mean, for the mental health side for us, there's nothing that no age. And I mean, we have Stanford Hospital, the Lucille Packard Children's Hospital. I mean, nobody is offering any help. I mean, and I've been to all of them asking. Sorry, I'm reading. Bob just sent a message. He said, man, I thought I was on the verge of getting to someone at TikTok. After I typed and sent a pretty darned good message in the chat box, I was redirected to a page to pay a registration fee. And then he could get billed $50 a month to answer questions.
Or one of their 68 experts in minutes.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Answers from experts in minutes, 24/7. Yeah. So I'm sorry, but I'm not going to give them a credit card number and pay my $1 to get started, and then be subject to the $50 a month fee, although I can cancel at any time. I'll keep working on this. You know what? Maybe I'll, you're going to think this is nuts. I actually, on days when I go to the office, I sometimes bump into Minnesota's Attorney General, Keith Ellison, on my way into the office. I'm going to at least mention this to him, my concerns about TikTok and YouTube, and wonder if he can give me some advice on where to go to try to get these services to filter what they post about kids playing with fire and igniting fires. It can't hurt, right? Anyway, I'll continue to pursue this.
Nice. Thanks for doing that, Bob.
Sure.
So while we still have some time, does anybody have a case study or interesting one that's come through recently that they would like to share?
If nobody does, I'd be interested in hearing more about what people are doing for mental health services.
So would I, and if I could tag along.
So we're in Connecticut. We're trying to reach out to those clinicians in private practice that are experts in sexual offending behavior. Dr. Stodolnik is, I've been lucky enough, he's on the international board that we're starting, and he's willing to come down and do another training on the frat that he developed. And so because I work at the Department of Children and Families, and we're really involved with kids that have really high risk behaviors. We're focusing on those clinicians that are not afraid of high risk behavior, and see if they would be willing to learn how to do a fire risk assessment and do treatment. So we're reaching out to them, and we're also reaching out to the American Psychological Association to see if they're interested in doing the frat training, which is a 2-day training, not only on the tool, but really on the treatment and interventions. The third thing that we're doing to try and get more mental health involvement is we're starting to do trainings with our therapeutic foster care support agencies. So we have a number of providers outside of the Department of Children and Families that go and recruit foster families and then train them to bring in youth that have high risk behaviors. And so we're really going out there and doing just a youth fire setting 101 training so that they understand that it's all about the intent and motivation, and it's not about labeling a child, but this is behaviors just like any other behavior. So we're beginning those trainings to target those foster homes, and many of those providers have mental health clinicians as part of their staff. And then the last thing we did in 2019, and Kathy, I think I maybe told you about this, we presented a bill that got put into law that if a youth is arrested for fire setting, the judge can suspend the delinquency until if they see that the youth will benefit, and then they're referred to a program. That's how I've gotten the numbers. I think that I've gotten is a large number of those are coming from the court. Unfortunately, we don't have coverage statewide of youth fire setting programs. But when I get a referral, I'll reach out to those interventionists. And then if they're willing to do the intervention, then I go to the local child guidance clinic or the child, the agencies that the child welfare agency uses, and ask if there would be somebody that would be willing to sit in, and we train them on youth fire setting. We show them the Oregon screening tool. We show them the interventions that we use. And so it's kind of a multifaceted approach to looking at everywhere in child welfare and in the school systems where there are clinicians that might be willing to at least understand youth fire setting behavior. I'll let you know how it goes, because we really only have 1 or 2 people that would be willing to even do the assessment, never mind the treatment. So it's really targeting a number of different places, and hopefully in November, I'm hoping to have 25 to 40 new clinicians that we can train.
Wow. Can I ask about the bill that was passed?
Sure, and I'd be willing to share that with you. In Connecticut, if a child is committed a crime and it looks like substance abuse plays a part in it, the law, the court can suspend the delinquency hearing while that youth gets treatment. And so it mirrors that law that we have, and it's the same thing. So a judge makes the determination whether a youth can benefit from coming from the program. And if that is true, then the courts call me or the local fire service, if they have a program, and say, we want them to have an intervention. They'll do the intervention, and then they have to report back to the public defender's office on whether the youth participated, what their progress was, what their understanding was before the intervention and after the intervention. If they do not, the judge and the courts can then decide to go ahead with the delinquency hearing, or make the determination to have them on probation. That usually happens if there's other high-risk behaviors, if there's burglaries. We have a huge increase in auto thefts with our delinquents, and we've raised the age. So our youth are not put into detentions or prosecuted if they're up to 18 now. And so, you have folks that really believe that's the reason for there's an increase in crime. But we've also put a lot of services in place to try and do a different approach. But I can send you the law that got passed in 2019. There's really one court that's using it all the time and others are not. So once we get programs up and running and really solid statewide, we'll train the other attorneys and judges on the law so that we can have them make those referrals.
Oh, thanks. I would like that. That's pretty awesome.
Okay.
So does anyone else have anything else they'd like to talk about or share or anything else with mental health like Kathy had asked? Unfortunately, I have nothing on that one.
We have a consultant. Oh, go ahead. I didn't
No,
mean
go
to.
ahead, Kathy. Go right ahead. Go ahead.
We have a consultant through the Minnesota Department of Health who will consult with the YFPI specialists and existing mental health providers. He's been tasked with finding and training mental health representatives from across the state. Maybe once we're a little bit farther down that path, we could get him to present, and maybe Anne, you could present some of your strategies too. I think everybody struggles with that piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
I was just going to add in, and I might want to pick your brain because that is one of the topics that came up when I was speaking to the person from Medicaid about the Ohio Rise, was that we both thought that clinicians were not trained, did not feel comfortable working with children with, this behavior. And so that was something we were talking about. I mentioned Abraxas in Pennsylvania to them or to her, and we have multiple Abraxas in Ohio, but none of them are specialized like that Abraxas. So we are going to look at the same thing. So maybe Kathy, and I would love, when I get to that point, not yet, but to figure out how that training is going and the type of training that's happening for sure.
Sure, I'd be glad to share that, see how it happens. I'm hoping by the end of the year that we would be able to train a number of people. And again, this is on the assessment. We're working with folks in England on the FIPMO model. It is an adult treatment model for individuals with mental health issues in mental health settings and in prisons. And so Nicola Tyler from Australia and Dr. Teresa Gannon have been working with Dr. Stodolnik on that model. And then they're actually been doing some research and some work in Connecticut with Dr. Campagna to lower the age and have it go down as low as 14. So Dr. Campagna is doing a treatment presentation through the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services for young adults. And that's the treatment. It's beyond the assessment, but what the treatment is. And he's targeted to do that training in November. So, but it's taking the FIPMO model, which is the treatment model, and really looking at how it can work with younger folks.
That's awesome. I know it wasn't a child that I had a referral on, but I was called in to consult. One of our educators from the state fire marshal's office had a child who needed to be removed from the home. And he needed to be removed because his parents wanted him out. They're adoptive parents. They adopted him 7 years ago, decided they don't want him anymore because he has this fire starting behavior. They could not find anywhere to take him just because of that history. And nobody wanted him. They didn't really want to put him in a detention center because they felt like this was a cry for help, as many of us see. But they also couldn't find even a specialized foster home that would take him because of that behavior. So it broke my heart. I didn't do much except for sit there and listen, but it was just heartbreaking to realize that that's where some of these kids are.
Do you mind me asking what happened to him? Like, where did they end up taking him?
They ended up putting him in a detention center. They couldn't figure out anywhere else. He was not going to be safe in the home. Mm-hmm. So the Job and Family Services said, we've got to look at his safety first and foremost, which I agree with. He had actually tried to set the refrigerator on fire because his parents put a padlock on it, and he was thirsty in the middle of the night. So he attempted that. That didn't work. So then he tried to he did, I guess, succeed in the plastic for the water dispenser. Uh-huh. He set that on fire because they had also turned off the water and ice that came out. So the parents said, we don't want him anymore. So they ended up putting him in a detention center with the hope to get him the mental health assistance and, just support. He needs support, so I don't know. I probably will never hear about him again unless he sets another fire.
Oh, that's hurtful. Yeah, I mean, just to hear about that, and like you said, a lot of it's just a cry for help.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks everybody. I'm happy to, again, it's early for me on the West Coast, so I got all day, but people need to get going. I understand. If Bob has one story though before he leaves, because I haven't heard one from him in a while, that would be nice.
Oh, Jesus, Scott, you are throwing me under the bus here. Oh, okay. This is a potential story. Scott and I have commiserated because we both have had some back injuries. So I was at the pain clinic yesterday, and the thing that they're suggesting for me now is that they want to run 2 wire leads down my spine and implant a 10-year battery in me, and they can do a 10-year a rechargeable version of that. So basically I could lay on my iPhone charger every couple of days and fire that battery up so I can keep going. So I'm trying to find the positive side to this. I was having a conversation with a friend earlier today, and I was kind of, bemoaning my bewildered state. And my friend said, well, you got to look on the bright side. At least, maybe it'll mitigate the pain. I said, well, yeah, there's that. The other thing is I could take a nap on top of my iPhone charger and keep my iPhone in a shirt pocket. And it would probably charge the phone at the same time. And the next time we have a tornado come through this part of Minnesota and we lose power, I could plug the refrigerator into my mouth and at least keep our food cold.
Nice.
So there you go. There's a silver lining there somewhere.
Well, Bob, if you do have that done, right, you'll always have at least one positive side.
Oh, you know what? I'm embarrassed that you just threw that little one-liner out there, Scott. But I'm proud of you for having the nerve to do it. Good for you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I hope your back gets better.
Oh, I'm still vertical and viable, buddy. We'll keep going.
Oh my gosh, Energizing Bunny Bob.
There you go. There you go, man.
That's a t-shirt right there. You got to have a t-shirt made.
T-shirt, hell, that's a whole costume.
Nice.
All right. Peace out, everybody. Hope you have a good rest of the week. I got a cruise. I got a brother-in-law in town from Oslo, Norway, so I got to go entertain.
Nice.
Oh, have fun.
Thank you.
Thanks
See ya.
again, everyone.
Bye, Scott.
Bye,
Thank you.
Bye, Bob.
It was
Pat,
nice.
Bye.
thanks for being here.
Goodbye, everybody.
We'll be
Bye,
in touch,
guys.
Pat, about
Bye.
some
All right.
dates.
That's great. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.